Welcome to the Radiant You. I am your host, Lissa Cole, and today we're stepping gently into a sacred part of the journey that often gets overlooked. How do we trust joy again after loss, change, or a season that cracked us open? Maybe you've just walked through a transition, graduation, a move, losing a loved one, watching your children grow up and away, ending a relationship, or even a chapter in life closing that you weren't ready to release. You've made it through, but something in you is still holding your breath. Let's take a deeper breath together today. I was caught between endings and beginnings. Years ago, our oldest graduated high school, an ending. And then a beginning, he moved to Texas for what we thought to be a ministerial type of schooling and opportunity. And then a few months later, 9/11 happened. A few years after that, our youngest graduated high school. He continued his college football career in Kansas City, Missouri. That was a long drive. We don't know what's next, right? So there's this hesitation after healing that we really don't talk enough about, that awkward, tender place that comes after the big moment, after the funeral, after the move, after the diagnosis, after the celebration, after the child leaves for college. That quiet in between where joy feels like it should be arriving, but it isn't yet. Or it feels too risky to reach for. When you've been surviving, joy can feel like a betrayal. Our bodies get used to bracing for the next wave. The nervous system that carries us through the change, sometimes on adrenaline or grit, may not be ready to soften. From a neuroscience lens, your brain's amygdala has been hyper-aware, wired for vigilance. After long stress, we don't easily drop into rest. We have to reteach ourselves safety. We hesitate not because we're ungrateful, but because we've been reshaped by what we lost. The transition may have been chosen, expected, or even joyful, but that doesn't erase the grief. Grief doesn't always arrive in tears. Sometimes it's the silence in your kitchen, the seat at the table that stays empty, the habit of waiting for a voice that no longer calls. As Joanne Didion wrote in TheYear of Magical Thinking, grief turns out to be a place none of us know until we reach it. Her memoir reminds us that grief is not linear and it doesn't follow rules. It's a wilderness we have to walk through with patience. In Transitions, William Bridges clarifies that all change begins with an ending, and that we often skip over the in-between phase that he calls the neutral zone. But that's where the transformation truly happens. It is when we are in transition that we are most completely alive, he says. I realized that life had really shifted. I was a medical biller. I left that job to start a daycare in my home. I left the daycare after 3 or 4 years to take a preschool teaching position, to reach more towards my dreams, and that life was shifting. It was such an in-between with all of those things and all of those thoughts that I was having from job to job. Now, mind you, I was at each of the jobs for a long time, so I had this loss about it. Even though I was so excited about the next thing, there was something that I felt I was losing. I was giving up. So I shifted, life shifted, so that I could begin helping others to hope. I passed the baton to a new preschool teacher. And I also, with all of this, I was coaching cheer. And I coached cheer on and off for 33 years. And so it was time for me to let go of that as well and to pass the baton. I gave up something to reach for my dream. What I recommend is that we have to name the losses and we have to honor them, because only in honest grief can we find honest joy. Think about that. For me to shift and let go, I had to be honest and realize that I was grieving. Although I loved what I was doing next, but I was grieving what I was giving up. Right now, I want you to think about your losses, being quiet losses, losses that you haven't even realized yet, or they might be really loud. They might be in your face. And I want you to say that no matter whether they're quiet or loud, they mattered. It matters. Let's just ponder over some of these questions. What have you recently said goodbye to, even if you didn't mean to? Is there a part of you still holding your breath, waiting for the next wave? Where in your life do you feel the absence of something that you once counted on? When we imagine getting back to joy, we often think we have to feel excited, ready, and full of life again. But joy isn't always loud. Often it becomes as a quiet ritual. Joy isn't an event. It's a practice. It's how you return to yourself. You don't have to wait until everything is figured out. And you don't have to pretend that you're okay. You just begin slowly and with compassion. Some rituals that welcome joy back in, it might be helpful, is sitting in the morning light for 1 full minute without doing anything else. Letting yourself cry and laugh in the same hour. Writing a thank you note to the person that you used to be. Saying yes to a walk even if you're not sure you'll enjoy it. Singing in the car, saying, "I'm proud of you," to your own reflection. The high five habits from Mel Robbins. High five yourself in the mirror. Let yourself be surprised by what feels good. Let joy be soft, small, and sacred. And remember, your capacity to feel joy again doesn't erase the pain that you've held. It honors your resilience. In an old book called Embraced by the Light by Betty J. Eddy, writes about her near-death experience, describing the deep peace and joy that can coexist with sorrow. She says, "We are not left alone even in our darkest hours. Light always finds its way back to us, often through the smallest openings." So one of my rituals that has helped me to find healing, well, it's seasonal at times. There's other things that I do, but sitting in my swing outside, because I live in Michigan, and so you can't always sit out in your swing, is something that always brings me peace as I think of my grandma and how many, many hours that she would sit in her swing reading, drinking tea. And there were also times that she would make me lunch after I was done teaching for the day. And she always would make me tea. And then I would go on to my next job. So it's just those things. I go out and sit in my swing. I drink tea. And when I think of those things, whether they're rituals or not, when I'm in the moment of those things, I feel her. I'm reminded of the things that she's taught me. I lost a dear, dear friend, a sister-like friend, very suddenly to pneumonia, of all things. And I found myself, within a week of her death, I found myself sitting on my friend's living room floor, helping her husband sort through some of her things, some of her clothes, some of her special things. And her husband and I had a few conversations while I was sorting. And then he left me alone to just take my time. And in that small moment in time, that was etched in my memory as peaceful, sad. I could smell her on her clothes. I could remember her smile, her unconditional love to those that she let in her world. And I thought then, I will miss her. And that just kept being repeated in my thoughts in that moment as I sit on her floor. I will miss her. And I certainly have. So many things happened that year. 2006. That's how long ago it was. But one of the things that helped me look at the amazingly radiant memories is to take the time that you need. Sit on the floor. Think about what you want to take from those moments. And I took From those moments and from the sorting, I took a few of her preschool teacher shirts and I wore them often on special days. Some of the things that I remember, whether it's rituals like, like I said earlier, the Phantom of the Opera, she would listen to that on repeat. She'd watch it on repeat. Backstreet Boys. Oh my gosh, if I hear those things now, it's those types of things that remind me of her. And I just am mindful in those moments. Eating pizza. Oh my gosh. She had a thing for pizza. Taco Bell. Oh, so recognizing and remembering her, especially on her birthdays or when she passed, those are things too that I can make into rituals and have those reminders. And the same with my grandma and my aunt and all those special people. Take the time to be present in those moments and consider what small daily rituals could maybe bring back some joy gently. So some questions for you to ponder. What gentle practices have you been drawn to lately? Where do you feel light, even in small, fleeting moments? Is there a daily rhythm that makes you feel more like yourself again? Moving into this next section, give yourself permission to feel the light again. So sometimes the hardest part isn't what we've lost, it's what we fear we're no longer allowed to feel. Can I really be radiant again after all of this? Yes. But radiance after loss looks different. It changes you. But radiance is still there. It glows within depth, with humility, with quiet courage. It's not about being the brightest in the room. It's about being fully present in your own life again. If you've loved deeply, you'll grieve deeply. But the same depth makes room for joy. We are meant to feel the full range. To be human is to be whole, not just healed. Ask yourself this today. Where have you been withholding joy? What part of you needs permission to open back up? How can you begin to glow again? Not for others, but for yourself. Joy after loss doesn't mean forgetting. It means integrating. It means saying, I carry you with me into this light. Pema Chodron in When Things Fall Apart says to be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. In other words, it's in the unraveling that we find the courage to rebuild. We don't have to avoid pain to find peace. We grow through it. A time when joy really surprised me. When that laughter or lightness returned in an unexpected way. Our dear friends lost their daughter to cancer a couple of years ago. And shortly after, we went to church with them. And joy surprised me. The first time I heard our friends singing, worshiping, and praising our God as they were hurting, they found joy in our Lord. I took my cue from them. How can there be light right then? I don't know, but I know I felt joy and amazement in that moment. So many times in my life that I have felt sadness and joy and light appeared, ready or not, I received and allowed myself to feel. I encourage you now to just reflect on your small moments of lightness. What's one joy that you've put off because you just weren't sure that you were ready? What would happen if you allowed yourself to enjoy life again without guilt? If you believed joy and sorrow could coexist, what might you welcome back in? So if you're in that strange space, the one after the shift, where life has resumed, but you haven't quite caught up, take heart. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. And this next version of you, well, she's allowed to feel joy again. What is one gentle, nourishing way that you can say yes to joy today? One last idea that I want to share with you today comes from one of my favorite children's books that continues to comfort hearts of all ages. It's called The Invisible String by Patrice Karst. It's the story of two children learning from their mother that we are all connected by an invisible string made of love, one that stretches across distance, time, and even loss. No matter where our loved ones are, we're never truly apart. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love. This message is powerful, not only in childhood, but in the adult heart that's healing from change or grief. The invisible string connects us still. Who are you connected to by your invisible string? Have you ever felt a tug on your string when someone was thinking of you? In a moment of loneliness or grief, what helps you remember you're not alone? What invisible string are you sending into the world today? Please hear this. You don't have to have it all figured out to belong exactly where you are. It's okay to miss what was and still long for what's next. You can grieve and grow at the same time. You haven't lost your light. It's just resting. And joy, it hasn't forgotten you. Let your healing be quiet if it needs to be. Let your joy return slowly. There is no timeline for radiance. The light you're looking for might be just ahead of you. It might be flickering inside, waiting to be noticed again. Thank you for being here, for being real, and for giving yourself the gift of your own presence. Until next time, when you can, shine your light and be the radiant you.